Last week, we explored what metabolism is and talked about it as a system that regulates how your body converts food into energy, fuels your cells, and stabilizes your temperature, and also maintains your vital processes. We also discussed that metabolism isn't fixed, it's actually responsive to the environment around us, and it adapts constantly to things like your activity levels, your hormones, and also your stress levels as well. This week, we're taking that foundation knowledge and applying it directly to nutrition because what you eat is one of the most powerful ways to influence all of those systems. So today we'll break down a few things. How to preserve muscle, which is essential because we talked about this in week one as muscle is a metabolically active tissue, which helps to prevent slow metabolism. We'll also talk about why protein affects hunger hormones, how carbohydrates influence blood sugar levels, how fiber and gut health connect to inflammation, insulin resistance, and hormone balance, and also how BeFit food aligns with these principles and removes the guesswork. So hopefully by tying nutrition strategies back to the week one's metabolism principles, you'll see how everything works together. So that includes your hormones, your gut, your muscles, sleep, and stress levels, and now your food. So in week one, we covered the idea that muscle is one of the most powerful drivers of metabolism. We talked about how muscle mass declines with age, especially during menopause due to hormonal changes, how lower muscle mass slows down your metabolic rate, how muscle is a key regulator of insulin sensitivity, and also how the loss of muscle increases inflammation and reduces energy production. So in week two, our nutrition strategy starts with preserving and supporting muscle. So muscle burns energy even at rest, which is why preserving muscle matters. So even when you're sitting, sleeping, or relaxing, your muscles are actively burning energy. And muscle tissue often requires more energy to maintain than fat tissue, meaning that someone with more muscle mass actually enjoys a higher resting metabolic rate than someone without as much muscle mass. It also improves insulin sensitivity. So muscle acts like a sponge for glucose. Every single time you eat carbohydrates, your muscles pull glucose out of the bloodstream and use it for energy or store it for later. The more muscle you have, the more effectively your body controls blood sugar and insulin levels. So, therefore, better insulin sensitivity often leads to fewer cravings, more stable energy levels, easier fat loss, and reduced inflammation levels. Muscle also supports strength, mobility, and longevity. So, in the midlife and beyond, muscle tends to become one of the strongest predictors of long-term independence. So, good muscle mass often protects against falls, supports joints, stabilizes our posture, and also makes daily tasks a lot easier to accomplish. And muscle is also connected to better cognitive functioning and reduced risk of chronic diseases as well. Muscle also protects against metabolic slowdown. So this happens often during fat loss. So when people reduce calories, the body often becomes protective. And if protein is low or muscle is not stimulated, the body can actually break down muscle instead of fat, slowing down your metabolism. Preserving muscle actually ensures that the weight you lose is more likely to be fat, not the lean tissue that keeps your metabolism firing. So, this week and throughout the challenge, we want you to think not just about weight loss, but also healthy body composition. So, in terms of protein targets, what we aim to strive for is around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight. So, this is a range that actually supports muscle preservation, hormone regulation, and metabolic stability, especially in midlife. So, this is the amount shown to help counteract menopause related muscle loss, age related sarcopenia, and also stress related muscle breakdown. Higher protein targets are also needed during fat loss. So in week one, I explained that long-term dieting can actually slow metabolism down, and this is because diets often reduce muscle mass. So eating higher protein often helps to prevent that metabolic slowdown. Higher needs are also required during aging. So I spoke about how estrogen declines during later in life, often reducing muscle building efficiency in menopause. So older adults actually need more protein, not less, to stimulate the same level of muscle repair that younger adults achieve with smaller amounts. So these protein targets are not just about bodybuilders or people who go to the gym. They're about supporting a healthy metabolism, balanced hormones, stable blood sugar, and also appetite control. In terms of protein, it's easily the most metabolically powerful nutrient that you can eat, and every point on this slide connects directly to what we learned in week 1. So in terms of protein, it helps increase satiety. It keeps you feeling fuller for longer and reduces hunger hormones like ghrelin, which we talked about last week when we spoke about the impact of poor sleep on appetite. When protein is high, cravings will naturally reduce. It also helps to stabilize blood sugar. So I spoke about blood sugar in week 1, and it's linked to fluctuations in stress, fatigue, and also inflammation. So protein helps to prevent blood sugar spikes and drops by slowing the absorption of carbohydrates. In terms of supporting muscle repair, this ties directly back to the section that I discussed in week 1 about low muscle mass and aging. So we can only really repair and maintain muscle when we have sufficient amino acids from protein-rich foods available throughout the day. In terms of boosting metabolic rate, protein has the highest thermic effect, meaning that your body actually burns more calories digesting protein than it does digesting other nutrients like fats or carbohydrates. And it also helps to reduce cravings. So I mentioned last week that cravings often increase with stress or poor sleep. Protein actually helps to regulate these patterns by stabilizing hormones and also blood sugar levels. So when we speak about nutrition for metabolism, protein is often the foundation of this. How you distribute your protein across the day is also just as important as how much you eat, especially because of the hormonal patterns we covered in week 1. So in terms of the distribution across the day, 20 to 30 grams per meal is considered the optimal amount for stimulating muscle repair. Smaller amounts spread out throughout the day often do more for metabolism than one large hit in one go. Including protein at breakfast ties directly to cortisol, which is the stress hormone that peaks in the morning. So when you have a low protein breakfast, cortisol often stays high, leading to cravings and unstable energy later in the day. A high protein breakfast often stabilizes your hormones for the rest of the day, leading to better energy levels and sustained energy levels later on. In terms of protein snacking at dinner, this refers to not having small quantities of protein at dinner time. So many people often fear calories of an evening time, so they may naturally gravitate to lighter meals that are less satiating. But the inclusion of protein, just like with all your meals early on in the day, actually helps you to stabilize cravings, blood sugar levels, and also mitigate any late night cravings that may arise due to the lack of protein in your meal. So this can actually help you to regulate your indulgence in foods and also foods of a discretionary nature, and therefore help you regulate intake of calories, trans fats, added sugar, and also added salt in the diet. And also protein distribution across the day helps to support muscle synthesis as well. So muscle protein synthesis often becomes less responsive as we get older. So by spacing protein across the day, you can actually keep your body in an optimal repair state. In terms of BeFit food, one of the strengths of BeFit food is that it naturally does this protein distribution for you without you having to track anything. So all of our meals contain around 20 to 30 grams of protein, hitting that ideal amount for muscle repair. We also have this balanced across breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals. So this corrects one of the biggest mistakes that people make, which is what we discussed last week, irregular eating. So a structured eating pattern helps to stabilize hunger, energy, and also hormones. We also include protein-rich snacks, which helps to prevent the mid-afternoon slump, which ties back to week 1 section on insulin resistance and also blood sugar crashes. And also as well, eating protein across the day helps to prevent undereating as well. So this is crucial because low protein intake early in the day often leads to cravings and overeating at night. In terms of carbohydrates, we'll have a look at carbohydrates because how you choose and use carbohydrates can dramatically influence your metabolism. In terms of low GI carbs, these release energy slowly. So in week one, we talked about how rapid blood sugar spikes lead to high insulin, inflammation, and also cravings as well. Low GI carbs help to prevent that. In terms of whole foods will obviously provide fiber, antioxidants, and also nutrients that reduce inflammation, which was a major metabolic barrier we discussed last week. With vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, these help to support gut health, which help influence your hormones, your cravings, mood, and inflammation as well. And in terms of avoiding refined carbs and added sugars, refined carbs often create the blood sugar roller coaster that drives cravings, fatigue, and also abdominal fat storage. With carbohydrate timing and distribution, this is one of the most powerful metabolic strategies, and it connects strongly with hormone rhythms that we discussed last week. In terms of the best time for carbohydrates, in week one, we discussed cortisol peaking in the morning. So, cortisol makes your body handle carbs more effectively earlier in the day. So, breakfast and lunch are typically the best time for higher carbohydrate foods. Before or after exercise is also a great time to incorporate carbohydrates because exercise improves insulin sensitivity. This means that the carbs you eat won't spike your blood sugar as much, and they often get used for fuel and recovery rather than being stored as fat. Eating carbohydrates with protein and fiber helps to slow down digestion and support the gut. And avoiding a large carbohydrate intake at night is also important because carbs at night can actually disrupt sleep and raise blood sugar, which lead to cravings the next day. So, in terms of the importance of carbohydrate timing can actually help to reduce cravings. So, as I mentioned, carbs eaten earlier help to support blood sugar levels and reduce late night cravings. And in terms of improving energy levels, carbs eaten strategically help prevent the afternoon crash. And also, lower carb intake at night helps your body access fat stores more easily during sleep. In terms of crashes in the afternoon, these crashes often lead to overeating or sugar cravings as well. So, if you have a lot of carbohydrates during this period of time, this can often lead to these sorts of fluctuations in your energy levels. And also, stable glucose levels at nighttime often help to reduce overnight waking and improve your sleep quality. With fiber, it's one of the most underrated metabolic tools, and it connects strongly to the gut and inflammation themes we explored in week one. So, in terms of fiber targets, we want to aim for around 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. Most adults actually fall short of this target. And fiber plays an important role because it stabilizes blood sugar levels, supports our digestion, and also helps to regulate our appetite. In terms of consuming a variety of plant foods, different fibers help to feed different types of gut bacteria. And as we covered in week one, gut health actually affects inflammation, hormone balance, cravings, and even our mood as well. And the mix of soluble and insoluble fiber is also very important, with soluble fiber slowing down sugar absorption, insoluble fiber supporting digestion and gut motility. And together, they help keep the metabolism functioning and running smoothly. In terms of the importance of fiber and gut health, healthy gut bacteria can actually help with quite a few different things. Healthy gut bacteria can help us reduce inflammatory markers. So, inflammation, as I discussed last week, was one of the biggest drivers of slow metabolism. In terms of improving insulin sensitivity, better gut health can help to improve blood sugar control. Certain gut bacteria can also help produce GLP-1s, which are the fullness hormones that help to support appetite regulation. And healthy gut bacteria can also help to produce short-chain fatty acids. So these help to nourish the gut lining and reduce inflammation. Healthy gut bacteria can also help to support detoxification and hormone regulation, which connects to the thyroid and menopause topics that I discussed last week. And also, healthy gut bacteria helps to reduce metabolic disease risk. So, a healthy gut can often reduce the risk of many chronic diseases such as insulin resistance, fatty liver, and also abdominal fat gain. With BeFit food meals, these naturally help to support gut health by providing high fiber vegetables, prebiotics, a low inflammatory meal overall, and balanced macronutrients. So the high fiber vegetables help to promote healthy digestion and support the gut lining, and also help you to meet your fiber targets throughout the day. With prebiotics, these help to feed your beneficial gut bacteria and help to also boost insulin sensitivity. And with inflammation, as I mentioned before, this is one of the most common driving factors for slowing metabolism. And therefore, by following a BeFit food program and following a low inflammatory diet, this actually helps to reduce that inflammation load in the body. And balanced macronutrients help to ensure that the blood sugar levels are stable, which helps to support the gut hormone communication. And in terms of key nutrition strategies to support fat loss and muscle preservation, these strategies tie together everything from week 1 and week 2. So eating protein at every single meal to protect your metabolism is important. Choosing low GI carbohydrates for steady energy is also important as well. Timing carbs earlier in the day to support your hormones and sleeping habits is also important. Prioritizing fiber and gut health to reduce your inflammation is also a priority. Following structured meals to avoid metabolic confusion, and staying hydrated for digestion, metabolism, and energy. So these habits actually reinforce everything your metabolism needs to function at its peak. And these habits and these key points are also things that are available as part of the BeFit food program. So in summary, nutrition is one of the most powerful levers for improving metabolic health, and everything we talked about today ties back to week 1. Protein helps to protect muscle, and muscle is often an indicator of our metabolic rate. Our carbs influence our hormones and sleep, so therefore the quality and timing of carbohydrates is important for ensuring that this takes place. Fiber helps to support gut health and inflammation. Structured meal times help to stabilize appetite, and also hydration supports digestion and also energy. So as a whole, these small dietary changes can help to create big, lasting changes over time, and also help you to develop more sustainable eating habits in the long term to maintain your progress, whether it be with weight loss or managing your risk of chronic diseases developing. And I'll pass it on to Kate for the Q&A.
Well, thank you, everyone. So if you can pop your questions into the chat now, we'll take it offline and we'll answer your questions offline. So you've got a private space. So thank you for joining us today, and we will continue this chat offline. Thank you.